It was a quiet day on Earth when everything changed. The world went about its usual business, unaware that something was about to happen that would alter the course of history. People went to work, students attended school, and the sky above remained as peaceful as ever. But far above the planet, in the cold reaches of space, something was happening, something no one could have expected. For years, Earth had been invisible to the rest of the galaxy. It was a small, insignificant blue planet, floating in the vast ocean of stars. Advanced telescopes and radio equipment had searched the cosmos for signs of intelligent life, but Earth had always remained just out of reach. The human race, though advanced in many ways, was still unaware of the greater forces at play in the universe. They lived their lives in peace, unaware that they were being watched. That all changed when the signal arrived. The first sign that something was wrong came when a deep space observatory in the heart of the desert picked up a strange transmission. It wasn't like any radio wave they had ever encountered. It wasn't a random burst of static or a natural occurrence like a comet passing by. This was something deliberate. The transmission was clear and calculated, designed to get the attention of whoever was listening. As the scientists scrambled to decode the message, panic set in. This wasn't just any signal, it was a message. And not just from anyone. The signal came from a highly advanced alien race, one that had been tracking Earth for some time. They had discovered the planet. They had been watching humanity for longer than anyone could have imagined. The message itself was simple but chilling: "We have found you." That was all. No threats. No demands. Just those 5 words. The world's leaders were caught off guard. Governments scrambled to prepare, but they had no idea who, or what, was on the other side of that message. For the first time in history, humanity was aware that they were not alone in the universe. But then, something even stranger happened. After that first message, there was nothing. No more signals, no more contact, just silence. The aliens had reached out, but they didn't say anything else. No explanations, no next steps. Just an eerie quiet that hung over the world like a thick fog. It was as if the galaxy itself had gone silent. People began to wonder, what did it mean? Why had the aliens contacted Earth, only to fall completely silent after sending that brief message? Some feared the worst, that this was the calm before an invasion. Others thought it might be a warning, a sign that Earth wasn't ready for the kind of attention it was now receiving. But no one really knew. The silence left everyone in suspense, waiting for something to happen, but nothing did. The mystery deepened when the scientists revealed that this wasn't just any signal, it was a signal that had been traveling for centuries. It had taken years to reach Earth, and the message was only now being received. If the aliens had been watching for so long, why had they waited until now to make contact? What had changed? And why, after revealing themselves, did they remain silent? With each passing day, the uncertainty grew. People started to ask questions. Why had the aliens chosen Earth? What were they waiting for? The silence became deafening, and the world began to hold its breath. Was this just the beginning of something bigger, or was it the end? Was Earth ready for whatever was coming next? As the days turned into weeks, the tension only increased. Governments and scientists across the world worked tirelessly to understand the message, to figure out what it meant. But the silence remained. It was as if the aliens had vanished, leaving behind only their brief message and the chilling uncertainty of what was to come. The only thing everyone knew for sure was that nothing would ever be the same again. The moment Earth was discovered, the entire galaxy seemed to hold its breath. And now, it was up to humanity to figure out what to do next. The question on everyone's mind was clear: why had the galaxy gone silent, and what did the aliens want from Earth? The world waited, trapped in a suspense that seemed like it would never end. Would they make contact again? Would they invade? Or had they simply been watching for far too long and were now ready to reveal their true intentions? The answers were out there, hidden in the silence of space. As the days passed, the world remained in a state of suspended animation. The shock of first contact still gripped humanity, but as time went on, a sense of unease settled in. The silence from the aliens was unnerving. The message, "We have found you," echoed in the minds of every person, leaving a sense of dread in its wake. Governments, scientists, and military forces were all left wondering the same question: what now? Around the world, experts worked around the clock to analyze the signal, trying to find some sort of clue that would explain the aliens' sudden and mysterious silence. But no new messages came. The message itself had been clear and deliberate, yet its meaning was vague. No threats. No demands. Just a declaration that Earth had been discovered. Was this a prelude to something larger? Or was it a cruel trick, designed to toy with humanity's hope and fear? At first, many believed it was a sign of peace. After all, the aliens had taken the time to send a message, albeit short and cryptic. Some hoped that this was the beginning of a new era, where humanity would join a larger galactic community. But others, more cautious, feared that it could be the first step in an invasion. The message was too sudden, too brief, and the silence that followed only deepened the mystery. Why hadn't they said more? In the halls of the world's governments, leaders were beginning to question everything. If these aliens were so advanced, why didn't they simply take control of Earth? Why hadn't they launched an invasion already, or sent more powerful signals demanding submission? It didn't make sense. The lack of immediate action was perplexing, especially given the advanced technology humanity had witnessed in the few moments following the signal's arrival. The aliens were clearly powerful beings, but they were holding back. This was a tactic, and it wasn't just the silence itself that was unsettling, it was the fact that the entire galaxy seemed to be holding its breath. The silence extended far beyond just the aliens. For the first time in recorded history, the galaxy itself seemed to have gone still. The once bustling communications between star systems had stopped. The usual hum of distant alien voices, the trade routes, the signals, the chatter of advanced civilizations, all of it ceased. For reasons no one could explain, everything went quiet. This wasn't just a lull. It was as if the galaxy itself had decided to stop. As though some unseen force had hit pause on the universe. Reports from various space observatories revealed even more confusion. In the months following the signal, several major civilizations that had been active in the galaxy simply disappeared from radar. Ships stopped traveling. Space stations fell silent. The vast interstellar networks that had long connected distant planets were no longer operational. It was as though the galaxy's many species had suddenly forgotten how to communicate, or worse, had been ordered to stay silent. Humanity was not the only one asking questions. The silence wasn't lost on the galaxy's other species. The alien races that once roamed the stars, establishing themselves as dominant forces, had now become reclusive. The overlords, as the mysterious alien race that had sent the signal was called, were the most ancient and powerful species in the known galaxy. And even they had seemed to fall quiet. This unprecedented stillness had caused fear to ripple through the galaxy. Was it a sign of something catastrophic? Was there a greater force at work, something even the overlords feared? At the same time, there were whispers of something far darker. Some believed the overlords were not simply watching humanity, but instead, testing them. The brief contact and sudden disappearance had left humanity with a strange sense of inadequacy. Could the aliens have been waiting for humans to do something? Were they observing to see if Earth's inhabitants had the strength to survive on their own without their intervention? Across the world, people reacted in different ways. Some took comfort in the silence, hoping that the aliens had decided humanity wasn't worth the trouble of an invasion. Others, though, couldn't shake the feeling that this was all part of a bigger game. The longer the silence lasted, the more the world's population began to fear the unknown. Had the overlords simply decided to give humanity time to reflect? Or had they been preparing for something far more sinister? Meanwhile, as Earth's governments continued to investigate, scientists made an incredible discovery. Hidden in the decoded message, they found a pattern. It wasn't just a random signal. It was a warning. A warning from the overlords to the rest of the galaxy. The message was not just about Earth, it was about the balance of power in the entire universe. The galaxy was holding its breath because the overlords had determined that Earth was a variable that could shift the balance of power forever. They had not moved yet because they were waiting for the humans to take the first step. This discovery was as thrilling as it was terrifying. The galaxy might have gone silent, but Earth had unknowingly become the center of the universe's attention. And the silence that enveloped the planet was no longer just a strange occurrence. It was the calm before the storm. The question on everyone's mind was no longer, what do the aliens want? It was, what will Earth do next? The fate of humanity, and perhaps the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. Weeks had passed since the alien signal had first echoed through the vastness of space, and the world had grown increasingly restless. What had begun as a moment of awe quickly descended into fear and confusion. The silence had stretched on far too long, leaving humanity in a state of anxiety. And then, just as it seemed the world would spiral into uncertainty, a new piece of the puzzle began to fall into place. It came in the form of an unexpected transmission. This time, it wasn't from the aliens directly. Instead, it was from a source much closer to home, an old, obscure member of the Galactic Council, a figure who had been lost to history. The transmission appeared late one night, much like the first signal, but this one was different. It wasn't a message of discovery. It was a warning. The transmission was from a former member of an ancient alliance of galactic powers, a council that had existed for centuries to maintain order and balance in the universe. The speaker, an elderly alien known as Reelth, had been a member of the council before it disbanded, but had since disappeared into obscurity. His face, projected on the large screens in command centers across Earth, was marked with age, yet there was an undeniable gravity in his eyes. He knew something that others did not. "We've all been deceived," Reelth said, his voice steady, yet carrying a weight of truth that seemed impossible to ignore. The galaxy has gone silent not because of fear of the overlords, but because of a much greater power, one that has been hiding in plain sight. Earth is not just a random planet, it is the key to the universe itself. You have been watched for millennia because humanity holds a power unlike anything the galaxy has ever known. The room fell dead silent as Reelth continued. He spoke of the overlords, the ancient race that had sent the message to Earth, and revealed that they were not simply powerful conquerors. The overlords, as it turned out, had been observing Earth for a reason far more complicated than anyone had imagined. Humanity was a unique species, capable of an evolutionary leap that no other race had ever been able to achieve. Earth wasn't just a forgotten planet, it was a sleeping giant, an unpredictable force in the galaxy. You see, Reelth explained, the overlord's greatest fear is not that Earth will be invaded. It's that humanity will awaken before they're ready. You have the potential to rise faster than any species has ever done. Your creativity, your adaptability, your ability to overcome impossible odds, that is what makes humanity dangerous. And that is why the overlords have kept their distance for so long. It wasn't just about military strength or technological power. The power of humanity was far deeper than that. Earth was a planet of infinite possibilities, where the limitations of other species did not apply. Reelth spoke of a time in the distant future when Earth would be able to harness technologies and capabilities that even the most advanced alien races could not comprehend. This was the very reason the galaxy had gone silent. The overlords weren't just concerned with Earth's survival, they were terrified of the day humanity would realize its full potential. As Reelth's words sank in, the truth became clearer. The galaxy had known about humanity for a long time, but they hadn't intervened, not because they thought humanity was weak, but because they feared what Earth could become. The silence wasn't a sign of peace, it was a warning. Humanity was a ticking time bomb, and the galaxy didn't know whether it would explode into chaos or rise to dominate the stars. Reelth continued, explaining that Earth had long been a wild card in the grand chessboard of the galaxy. Every species, every civilization, had their role to play in the balance of power. Some races sought peace, others sought conquest, but humanity was different. Earth's future was not written in stone, it was still being shaped. The overlords, who had watched humanity from afar, now knew that the moment had come. They couldn't ignore Earth any longer. But the overlords weren't the only ones watching. As Reelth finished his transmission, he warned that there were other powers in the galaxy who were aware of the same truth. If humanity truly had the potential to change the course of the galaxy, then there would be others who would seek to either ally with or eliminate Earth before it became a threat. The universe was not going to allow Earth's rise without a fight. The revelation left Earth's leaders reeling. They had spent so long trying to understand the alien signal, but now they were faced with an even greater question: what should they do with this newfound knowledge? How could humanity prepare for what was coming? The overlords had been right all along. Earth had the power to reshape the galaxy, but only if humanity could unlock it. Meanwhile, the quiet of the galaxy remained, but the tension was palpable. If Earth was truly the most dangerous species in the universe, it was only a matter of time before the other civilizations realized it too. Would they try to form alliances, or would they aim to destroy humanity before it could awaken? No one knew. The countdown had begun, and the clock was ticking. Humanity was no longer the underdog. Earth had become the battleground, the heart of a conflict that would change the course of galactic history forever. The true challenge now wasn't surviving the first alien encounter, it was learning how to wield the immense power that was now resting in humanity's hands. And if Earth couldn't control it, then it would be up to the rest of the galaxy to decide its fate. As the revelations from Reelth settled in, the world's leaders were forced to confront a new, terrifying reality. Earth wasn't just a small planet in the vast universe, it was an unpredictable force, a sleeping giant with the potential to reshape the balance of power across the galaxy. But the question that lingered in the minds of every leader, scientist, and military officer was, how could humanity awaken this hidden power? And more importantly, how could they survive the chaos that would inevitably follow? In the months following Reelth's transmission, governments around the world took different approaches to deal with the knowledge of Earth's potential. Some focused on militarizing their response, preparing for an invasion that they feared was coming. Others focused on scientific advancement, searching for ways to tap into the power humanity supposedly held. But despite their best efforts, no one could quite put their finger on what made Earth so special. What was this hidden strength that Reelth had spoken of? It wasn't until a group of rogue scientists from across the globe gathered in secret that the first pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. These scientists, who had long been considered fringe thinkers, proposed a theory that would change everything. They believed that humanity's true strength wasn't just in its ability to adapt or create technology, it was in its untapped potential for innovation and ingenuity. Earth's uniqueness lay in its people's capacity to overcome any obstacle, no matter how impossible it seemed. While other alien species had long relied on technology and brute force to solve problems, humanity had the ability to think differently. It was this creativity and resourcefulness that made Earth so dangerous. The very thing that the galaxy had feared about humanity was its ability to think outside the box and come up with solutions that no one else could even imagine. The breakthrough came when these scientists, working in secret, discovered an ancient artifact hidden deep within the Earth's crust. It was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. At first, they thought it was just an old relic, something left behind by an ancient civilization that predated humanity itself. But upon closer examination, they realized that the artifact was a key. A key to something far more significant than they could have ever imagined. The artifact was a piece of advanced technology, older than anything in the galaxy, and its purpose was unclear. Some believed it was a message from an ancient alien race who had long since vanished, while others theorized it was a device left behind by the overlords themselves. But one thing was certain, the artifact was unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. It seemed to resonate with Earth's unique energy, its people, its landscapes, its oceans, and it was capable of unlocking a hidden potential within humanity itself. But as the scientists worked to unlock the artifact's secrets, they realized something even more disturbing. The artifact wasn't just a tool, it was a test. Whoever could unlock its power would be given access to an ancient force capable of changing the very fabric of the universe. But unlocking that power came with a price. The artifact was linked to Earth's core, and activating it would trigger a series of events that would ripple through the planet itself. The very balance of Earth's ecosystem could be thrown into chaos. As news of the artifact spread, it quickly became clear that this discovery had implications far beyond just Earth. If humanity unlocked the artifact's true potential, it could give them control over the most powerful force in the galaxy. The galaxy's most advanced civilizations had long relied on their technology to maintain dominance, but none of them could match the power that humanity was now on the verge of unlocking. The overlords had feared this day for centuries, and now that it had arrived, they weren't the only ones watching. Alien forces, once passive in their observation of Earth, now began to mobilize. They were afraid. Afraid of what humanity could become. Some sought to ally with Earth, hoping to share in the power that was about to be unlocked. Others, however, feared that humanity would use the artifact to conquer the galaxy itself. If humanity controlled the artifact, they would hold the power to reshape everything. Meanwhile, Earth's leaders were divided. Some were eager to unlock the artifact's power and secure their place in the galaxy's future. Others were wary, unsure if humanity was truly ready to wield such power. Could Earth's leaders control the artifact without falling into the same mistakes as other civilizations that had risen and fallen before them? Or would humanity's unchecked ambition lead to their downfall? Despite the division, one thing was certain: the artifact was only the beginning. Humanity had just begun to tap into its true potential, but the path ahead was fraught with danger. As Earth's scientists worked tirelessly to understand the artifact, they began to realize that their greatest challenge wasn't just unlocking the power, it was learning how to control it. The galaxy was watching, and as humanity's hidden strength began to surface, the stakes were higher than ever. Earth wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. It was fighting for its place in the universe. And with every step forward, humanity had to decide: would it rise to lead, or would it fall victim to the same hubris that had destroyed countless civilizations before them? The battle for the future of the galaxy was just beginning, and humanity had only begun to uncover its true potential. The question now was whether they would be able to control it, or whether it would control them. The silence that had once surrounded Earth was about to be shattered forever. The air was thick with tension as the world's greatest minds and military leaders gathered for what would be the defining moment in human history. The time had come for humanity to make a decision, one that would determine whether Earth would ascend to become a dominant force in the galaxy, or whether it would fall victim to the overwhelming power of the alien species that now circled it like predators. The discovery of the artifact had sparked not only global curiosity but also intergalactic fear. The stakes were higher than anyone could have imagined, and now the time to act was rapidly approaching. As Earth's leaders convened in secret, the reality of the situation began to settle in. The galaxy was watching. The overlords, whose presence loomed over humanity like a shadow, had already seen the power humanity was capable of. They had feared it for centuries, knowing that if humans unlocked their true potential, the entire balance of power would shift. But they had underestimated humanity's ability to adapt and innovate. What the overlords hadn't accounted for was that the artifact, the key to unimaginable power, was not just a tool, it was a catalyst. It would trigger humanity's latent abilities in ways that no one could predict. But the biggest threat wasn't just the overlords or their alien allies, it was humanity itself. The power humanity was about to unlock was unprecedented, and with it came the possibility of corruption. Would humanity wield it wisely, or would they become the very conquerors they feared? The potential for good and evil was equally matched, and Earth's leaders knew that the fate of the galaxy rested on their shoulders. As the Global Council deliberated, a faction of scientists and military leaders, those who had been working with the artifact, made a shocking discovery. The artifact's power wasn't just linked to humanity's potential for technological advancement. It was linked to the collective will of the people. The more united humanity became, the more powerful the artifact would grow. The strength of the human spirit, the drive to survive and to push beyond the limits of what seemed possible, was the key to unlocking its full potential. If humanity stood together, there would be nothing they couldn't achieve. But if they fractured, if they failed to work as one, the artifact's power would be uncontrollable, possibly catastrophic. With this knowledge in hand, the leaders of Earth made a bold decision. They would unite humanity in a way that had never been done before. The planet would work together to harness the power of the artifact, but only if every person, every nation, and every species on Earth could put aside their differences. The age-old divisions between countries, ideologies, and beliefs would need to be erased, and humanity would have to forge a new future, together. This was the only way to ensure that the power they were about to unlock wouldn't be their undoing. The world's nations began to collaborate on an unprecedented scale. Technology from all corners of the globe was merged, resources pooled together, and alliances formed between people who had once been bitter enemies. It was an extraordinary sight, humanity, once divided by war and conflict, now standing united against the greatest challenge they had ever faced. It was a moment of true global unity. But as humanity began to unite, the alien forces that had long been watching Earth began to mobilize. They saw the gathering storm. The overlords, once content to watch from afar, now began to prepare their fleets. They knew that if humanity succeeded in unlocking the artifact's power, they would have no choice but to confront Earth head-on. There was no turning back now. The first major test came when a massive alien fleet appeared in orbit around Earth, its intentions unclear. The world held its breath. The ships were enormous, far beyond anything humanity had ever seen. For a moment, it seemed like the entire galaxy was about to descend upon Earth, determined to put an end to this unpredictable species before it could cause any more disruption. But something unexpected happened. The alien ships, which had once been poised for an invasion, did nothing. They simply hovered, watching, waiting. It was as if they were afraid of the power humanity was about to wield. They understood something that humanity had only just begun to realize: the true weapon was not the artifact. It was humanity itself. The final moments before the artifact's activation were filled with anticipation. The world's greatest minds stood together, surrounded by the technological marvels humanity had created, ready to activate the artifact. But just as they were about to make history, a strange phenomenon occurred. The artifact began to glow with an intense light, its energy surging through the planet. The ground trembled, and the sky above seemed to crack open as if the very fabric of reality was being reshaped. In that moment, humanity stood at the precipice of greatness or destruction. The artifact was not simply an object, it was the key to the collective human spirit, a manifestation of everything humanity had ever been. It was their will, their hopes, and their dreams, all condensed into one extraordinary force. And as the artifact hummed with energy, humanity knew they had a choice: to rise, or to fall. With a final collective push, the artifact's power was unleashed. Waves of energy radiated from Earth, sending ripples through the galaxy. The overlords, watching from their ships, were struck with a realization: they had miscalculated. Humanity was not the same as other species. It was not bound by the same rules. Earth's greatest strength had never been its technology, its military, or its resources. It was its people, their ability to adapt, to innovate, and to rise in the face of the impossible. And so, as the galaxy watched, Earth stood at the dawn of a new era. No longer a quiet, forgotten planet, Earth had become the center of the universe. The galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had risen, not through conquest, but through unity, and the power of their collective will had changed everything. The universe had gone silent before, but now, Earth was the one speaking louder than ever before.